Commissioner Knight. There she is. No, you're fine, you're fine. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call this City Commission meeting to order tonight. We'll start with a roll call, and then I'll walk you through. Tonight's a little bit different. The sole purpose of tonight is to hear comments on the proposed budget. We did have one resolution that was added just because they needed approved before Sunday evening, but other than that, we're here tonight to be heard to hear feedback on the proposed budget, and I'll walk you through what that process will look like momentarily. But I'll turn to my clerk first and ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Goey?
Here.
Commissioner Knight?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Present.
Commissioner Sassi?
Present.
Commissioner Robbins?
Present.
Commissioner Purdue?
Present.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes. And then I am going to ask our translator to come forward. So if you need assistance with interpretation services, you are welcome to come forward, and we'll have someone here that can assist with that. So do you want to come forward and introduce yourself? Good evening. Hi.
Oh, can you push the button?
Oh, Yolanda, can you put the microphone?
Okay, sorry. My name is Yolanda. I'm here to interpret for Spanish language. Yo soy Yolanda y estoy aquí para interpretar en el idioma español.
Thank you. Thanks so much. So tonight we have one resolution before us, and then we'll move right into our public hearings. So we'll have two public hearings tonight. One is on the establishment of property taxes, and one is on the overall provisional fees and public hearing related to the budget proposal, and then we'll have an opportunity for public comments on any other items. So what I'll do is I'll have, once I get ready to open up those public hearings.
I have one petition communication.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. I'm just explaining for folks what to expect. So what I'll do when I open up those public hearings, I will turn to our CFO, Ms. Molly Claren, to come up and do a brief presentation on the proposed budget and the fees, and then I'll open it up for public comment. So with that, I'll start with our petitions and communications, and we have one petition and communication before us tonight.
Yeah, it was a communication received regarding the proposed annual budget. I think that was the one from Mr. Rodney Brown.
Yes, thank you. And then that will take us to the one resolution before us tonight, Commissioners. And this is a resolution approving a fireworks discharge permit for effects related to the upcoming Greta Van Fleet concert on May 19th. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support. Moved and supported, and we have Ted from our fire department here to tell us about this. He's always making sure that these are safe and appropriate for the venue.
Yeah. Good evening. It's the first time for an evening meal, but it's Greta Van Holt. Typical. There's a lot of pyro, so we'll be doing a fire watch for it, just to make sure everybody's safe, and of course the demo that goes with it.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
Carried.
opposed? It carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your work. All right, next that will take us to our public hearing. So we have, hold on, do I need to do these separate or can I read them together? Separate, okay. So the first one is a public hearing for the establishment of the property taxes and the proposed fiscal year 2025 budget. So as I indicated, I'll turn it over to Molly Claren from our Fiscal Services, our CFO. She'll walk through a budget. Commissioners, I'll turn to you to see if you have any questions, although all of this is familiar because we've been talking about it for the last month. And then I'll open it up if you are here tonight to be heard on the proposed budget.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I will just let everyone know that as you walked in today, there are copies of our Citizens Guide at the door in Spanish and English, if anyone is interested in picking one up. It gives a good overview of what's going on with this year's budget. So all these things, including information on our work sessions, the PowerPoints, the questions that the commissioners have asked, and the staff responses are all also on the city's website for the budget office. So this is the path we've been on to get to approval of the fiscal year 25 budget. We've had a number of work sessions. Today we're going to do a public hearing related to the millage, the budget, and the fee omnibus. Next week on the 21st is when we'll be doing final deliberation as well as the adoption of the budget at the 7 p.m. meeting. And then our fiscal year begins July 1st. Our proposed budget is just under $690 million, and for the general operating fund, that's just under $186 million. There's a number of assumptions we make or general things we build into the budget. I'll direct you to the 4.75% of annual income tax for the capital set aside. Our policy level is 5%. We've been slowly building that us back up to that policy level to take care of our capital assets. We also have a number of maintenance of effort investment guidelines, including vital streets and the parks. So moving on to focus on our equity investments, we do look at our budget with an equity lens, and we've seen improvement annually. This year we're up to $63 million, and I believe Brandon Davis is here to tell us a little more information about those investments.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you, Ms. Clarence. So these next slides outline what we call the equity investments in the city's budget. It's important that we note that prior to FY 2019, this is not something that we collected data on. Whereas the city was making equitable investments, it's not something that we reported on, that we were intentional about sharing with community, but under City Manager Washington's leadership, we've begun to do that. And year over year, we've seen improvements or increases in the amount of equity investments that we've seen. Last year, the city invested approximately $49.2 million that were considered equity investments, and this year that number has grown to $63 million. So while we are still growing and continuing to lead with equity, this increase evidences a commitment to living out our stated value. Now, in order to really appreciate these slides, it's important to understand how the city defines and approaches equity. So when we look at our city strategic plan, included in that plan, as I know that you know, there is an equity statement. And I had the pleasure of co-writing that with Stacy Stout. And in that statement, we really talked about how it was important for us to really lean into the fact that it was aspirational, but it also needed to be operational. So over the last several years, we have looked at equity as one of the city's 6 core values, and the statement says it must be embedded into all of our decisions, policies, and practices. And that was the aspirational part of it. But City Manager Washington has really led the charge to operationalize that over time. So in the equity statement, we indicated that equity is the condition achieved when people have the tools, resources, and connections necessary to be fully engaged and prepared to benefit from the opportunities they seek. And it's important to note that we lead with a racial equity lens, recognizing that if we address the root causes of disparities experienced by those who are minorities or individuals who have been traditionally disenfranchised, we improve equity across all areas. So when we're doing an equity analysis, when we were considering these numbers, when we were considering these projects, we asked those questions. Does this increase the tools, resources, or connections needed to assist Grand Rapidians in fully engaging and benefiting from the opportunities they seek? So based on that framework, we identified these $63 million in investments, and this list is a small portion of the overall equity investments that are included in this budget, but we'll go through some of those here. So you see, first on this list, there's the private lead service line replacement in neighborhoods of focus at $1 million. We also see the Indigent Defense Fund, which I believe you know, but for the benefit of community, we'll talk a little bit about. Those are the funds that are set aside to support members of community who need representation, recognizing that people deserve and have a right to be represented by an attorney. So that's at $2.798 million. New this year, which is exciting, is the establishment of the Kendall Street Fire Station at $8 million. And that really advances equity because it will lower response times in the 3rd Ward, an area in which it will serve. We also have the 3rd Ward Equity Fund at $1 million. And I won't read all of these, but there's a couple of other areas that are important to note. We have the Transportation Pass Program in Dash, which is at $3.3 million. We look at our Economic Development and MLBE Diverse Vendor Incentives Program, and that includes funding that we also provide for the Smart Zone program as well. We have the Grow 1000 summer program, which is getting ready to start. We're excited about that. We also have, well, I'm excited to talk about this, the Office of Oversight and Public Accountability, right? That's included as one of our equity investments. Along with that, we have the Neighborhood Match Fund and the Grand Rapids Neighborhood Summit. If I could take a moment to remind everyone that the Grand Rapids Neighborhood Summit is this Saturday. It'll be held at the Grand Valley State University Pew campus, and we are excited to have everyone there. In addition, we have equity training for city staff. We have contracts for Spanish-speaking election workers, as well as the Community Outreach Court, where a judge and a member of the Michigan Indigent Defense Council go out into community and help people resolve their cases. So again, this is not the totality of all of our equity investment. These are highlights of some of the things that count as equity investments in this budget. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. By strategic priority, these are the high-level investments we're making this year. Again, it's not all of them that we've talked about in our work sessions. If you do want to know more, please, look on the website when we had those work sessions specific to each of these strategic priorities. We already mentioned the Kendall Fire Station, but we are going to be staffing up for that. So that'll be 10 firefighters we're adding to the budget this year. We're also adding 4 emergency communication operators, and another key investment is leaning into hiring a victim services coordinator at PD. The other big thing you'll see on the lower right-hand corner is our investment in fire facilities. With the receipt of the legislative grant, we have Division Fire Station, Kendall Fire Station, and the Fire Training Center that'll be coming online in the coming years. Moving on to economic prosperity and affordability. The key investments that I'll point out for this is the grant-funded positions at the 61st District Court related to eviction prevention and diversion program. And of course, you'll see an ARPA investment. We're going to continue on using, as this money is running out, one of the programs we still have going is the storage space at Meltrotter. So that'll be about $200,000 a year. We're also setting money aside, $375,000 for over the next 3 years to operationalize our community master plan. And then the other big investment is the construction of the Scrivener Avenue site for our public services. For engaged and connected community, one new investment we have in this area is our city's 175th birthday coming up, so money towards the celebration of that. But again, continuing on a lot of our programming in this space, like Develop With Us and the Leadership Academy. For governmental excellence, I did break apart 9 positions specifically devoted to this customer service focus. We really leaned into this value in our budget formulation this year. So it includes 2 additional customer service representative positions in 311. I mentioned the ECOs we're adding in dispatch. More responsiveness support for mobile GR, and then 2 public service aides in streets and sanitation. And then just calling out the clerk, we are providing some resources for him for the 9 extra days he has of early voting, with 1 voting site in each ward. So there you go, Joel. Next is health and environment. With health and environment, our new investment this year is adding $1 million into the water system to address an additional 250 lead service lines that we want to take out of our system. Another large investment is $2.8 million related to parks improvements at Ottawa Hills, the Otsego Drain Basin, Lincoln Park, Camelot Park, and at the Indian Mound. So again, a lot of work in this space as well. And then finally, for mobility, we're doing work with transit stop improvements, traffic calming, pedestrian hybrid beacons. And again, our Vital Streets work continues this year. We're programming about $32.4 million towards those efforts. Moving on to talk specifically about the Revenue Omnibus. We have, if you look at the attachment to the Revenue Omnibus, you'll see things categorized in a variety of ways. We have what we call a Code A, which means there's no fee change recommended, but we do have some fees in alignment with the cost of living adjustment. So you'll see that in the list of like the golf course, some related parking fees, as well as the fire permits. Fees with a larger cost of living adjustment include, you'll see the larger than cost of living adjustment because in most cases these fees haven't been adjusted in many years. So the year over year, that's why they fall into this category. But one of the main ones in this category was the stormwater applications. And then Code D is fees that we are subsidizing or they're not achieving full cost recovery. So you'll notice that these percentages don't add up. You'll find on our schedule that some of these fees are categorized as it's a cost of living adjustment, but it's still subsidized. So it'd be a Code B and a Code D. So it's a little confusing if you just look at this chart as is. But for instance, our notice to vacate or our zoning permitting are things that we largely subsidize still. But, it's with the cost of living adjustment is how we chose to adjust it this year. New fees, there is a new fee related to pool and hot tub electric permits, as well as adding on a fee for Parks and Rec for a guided kayak tour. I will note, while we're talking about how these fees relate to cost of living or full cost recovery, none of these fees are greater than the cost of the service for which they are assessed. So specifically related to the parking rate proposed changes, this slide will look familiar as we talked about it last week with the commission and their work session. But for event parking, we are increasing rates there. And it really depends on what ramp we're talking about. So I do encourage you to explore the the detail of the revenue omnibus, so a ramp like the Government Center or Ottawa Fulton, they're already at $15. We expect that to remain the same or we plan to have that remain the same, but for instance, Cherry Commerce parking ramp, we're going to do a $2 adjustment there. So slight adjustment there. Our enforcement hours are going to change to 7 p.m. And then our monthly parking increase will be about 2% across the board. To give you another example, what that 2% means, Cherry Commerce will increase by about $3 a month. So. And then we have below this chart just shows how we relate to the local private garage owners as well as regional municipal operators. So for the proposed refuse rates increase, this is the breakdown of our current rate versus the proposed rate. For instance, the 32-gallon cart, which a lot of our residents use, is going up by about 33 cents per tip. And then this bottom chart, we talked about wanting to see what does this mean for average city residents. So the presentment rate is basically a term we use with pay-as-you-throw. So on average, knowing that everyone doesn't put out their cart every week, we back into this presentment rate. So on average, that 32-gallon cart customer has a bill increase, annual bill increase of about $9.44. This is the array of our citywide revenues. You can see the largest category is the charges for service. That's largely water and sewer revenue in that fund, but you can see the other large piece of the pie here is our income tax, which is the main engine of our general fund. Moving on to the property taxes, for every dollar that we receive in property taxes from our citizens, this is how the money is used. So it goes across the general fund, the library fund, refuse, capital improvement fund, and the parks fund. You'll see on the chart on the next, well, before I get there, our average increase or approximate increase for a Grand Rapids resident is going to be just under $48 annually. You'll see we do have a slight decrease in our proposed property tax millage. So the residents' impact on the rate is slightly lower. That's because we have property values rising, but due to the Headley Amendment, we have that rollback happening this year. Small one. So, okay, and then so that's basically what's going on with our budget this year. Again, next week we'll go into final deliberation and have commission adoption, but you know, I encourage all to check out our Citizens Guide and the resources online. And with that, I will put it back in your hands.
All right, thank you, Ms. Claren. I think that's a great overview. You hit on a lot of the highlights. I appreciate you also pointing out that there's answers to the questions that we've been posing over the last several weeks. So commissioners, anything else before I open it up for public comment? All right, thank you. All right, so if you are here tonight to be heard and want to weigh in on the proposed budget, now's your time to come forward. We ask that you do a few things. Come up to this podium, share your name, the city that you live in, and you'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. So is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this budget?
Hi, John Williamson, 3rd Ward. I don't have much to say. I'm not enthused about the budget. You know, moving to Grand Rapids, I was not at all excited to have to pay every time I use the darn, you know, garbage can. And I just am frustrated every time I hear money that isn't talked about. How we putting more money in the pockets of the poor, how we putting more money available to the homeless, how we helping out those with the least. Those are the conversations I'm motivated about, so I'm always discouraged to hear discussion of, you know, stuff that isn't that. All right, thanks.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else who wishes to be heard?
Good evening, city officials. My name is Sini Gant Jordan. I am a Grand Rapidian, 3rd generation here in the city. Yes, I love my city, but I do have to say I'm not happy with some of the things that have happened in my community. And that is in regards to equity. the equity statement. I think I spoke to everyone before about this. It is not reaching many of our Black people. So what does that mean? For me, it means that there's not enough effort there. There's not enough intentionality. I will speak to why I had to form a group called Black Voices at the River. It's because not one Black group was included on the engagement process. So I'm really encouraged that we were able to pull ourselves together, Sisters in Development, Black Voices at the River, and make something happen. But I did not get the support financially from the city. You have dollars that are to go to engagement, intentional engagement. So I hear you're going to be working with the groups or different people for engagement sessions, develop with us. What does that really look like for us? And who is us, right? Who are the us? Are they people that were born and raised here in Grand Rapids and have seen the inequities passed down generation after generation? Or are they newcomers to come into Grand Rapids and say, hey, that's a place where I can prosper because I know what they're doing for certain groups of people? That didn't include me, and I've been here. That didn't include our Sisters in Development. It hasn't included our Black Voices at the River. It hasn't included our African American Task Force and the other groups that we collaborate with. And there are many of us. We want to be included. So we really want to hold you accountable for this equity statement, this inclusion piece, who's included, why do they decided to venture here to Grand Rapids. We want to look at you as people that are really accountable. I want to be included. As a Black woman, a business owner, I can speak to many things that have excluded me, even from the community, where my home is, where my business is, being told that, oh, this is not a Black community. I'm in a community where we were redlined to. So I'm a third generation in that community of a homeowner, of a business owner. And I won't go back to what happened with my grandmother, because you all are aware. But I do want to say, moving forward, we need to be included, and I mean dollars behind us. Invest in us. We are worthy of it. Why? Because we are taxpayers here. We are raising our children here. And I know my time is up. God bless you all. Don't forget about us.
All right, others wish to be heard? All right, is there anyone else who wishes to be heard?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Welcome.
Welcome. Hi, my name is Vanessa Epps. I am a longtime resident of Grand Rapids. I also have grown up here throughout the years of my life. And we had to, certain one of us took it upon ourselves to involve getting our kids included with the Grow 1000 program. We thank you, Ms. Knight, for bringing that into existence. But we found out that the persons in the community is kind of like that village raises a child. We literally had to go to the schools and say, hey, do our kids know about this? And when I say our schools, the schools that have a majority of African American students in their district. And as we pulled them out, oh no, there's some schools that had the information, but they weren't sharing the information. That's how we got involved. And when I say we, one other person other than myself took it upon ourselves from the school that I graduated from, Ottawa Hills, and went there personally. Hey, can we call meet with your students maybe during lunch, and let's start making them aware of this. And we did make some of them aware, and we did it to the best of our ability, but I realized that we have to work a little harder because there was one student, and we don't know what their situation are with their parents being maybe economically disadvantaged. If not, may not have reached the educational level to assist them. She says, "Oh, I got on the computer, but it wouldn't go through. My email didn't go through. Da da da." However, so it appears that we have to develop and put together our village again and grab these babies and say, "Hey." Once we hear about the program, as I did, the reason why I stepped out on faith to say, hey, I got to get some of these kids to, get in there. Anyway, seeing my time is going down, I'm gonna move on from that. But as my sister Sini said, on that monies that's out here, what do we need to do to have our African American Museum that sits in a little cubby hole it has for the past few years? How can we get monies to help him get out of that cubby hole? If we have to knock on how many doors and say, can you spare $1? And say, let's raise this money for this brother so we can get out and show our background in life and how our parents, our grandparents migrated to Michigan and became a part of this community, and it was flourishing at that time. We like to flourish again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, is there anyone else who wishes to be heard on this public hearing? Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Ebony Wilson. I am Grand Rapids born and raised. I just want to touch on the equity statement of you guys. You said that equity is one of the city's 6 values. The city defines equity as a condition achieved when people have the tools, resources, and connections necessary to feel fully engaged and prepared to benefit from the opportunities we seek. Your equity statement does not align with what you have done for the Black community. It's been a lot of lack of. I come here demanding that my people are included so that we can have the tools, the resources, and the right connections, and not have to worry about being told to contact so many different organizations just to be like, and I'm speaking from my experience, to call all these organizations just to find out they don't have the budget or no, the funding's all gone. And that's happened plenty of time. Also, what I have noticed is that with this budget plan, if you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, then you're already locked in the budget. I'm asking you guys to do something different and make sure that we are included this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, anyone else who wishes to be heard?
All right, good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners, and City staff. My name is Rodney Brown. I'm a passionate, lifelong advocate for the City of Grand Rapids, the 3rd Ward in Southeast Grand Rapids. I appreciate the acknowledgement of receiving the letter that I sent around the budget FY 2025. But in front of you today, I'm going to share some other thoughts. So my specific focus is on advancing a coordinated and intentional agenda of inclusion for the BIPOC community here in Grand Rapids. Additionally, the importance of implementing culturally relevant engagement practices across all city departments to ensure inclusivity and equity in our governance. And if we're talking about defining equity, I've learned that equity, engagement, and economic development is defined by whoever is doing it. I am also the founder and president of the Grand Rapids Media Initiative and Film Incubator, the organization that is bringing the documentary film, A City Within a City, the Black Freedom Struggle in Grand Rapids, Michigan. At GR MiFi, we are a narrative justice storytelling incubator dedicated to amplifying diverse voices and narratives in media and filmmaking. Our agency serves as a creative hub for storytellers in underrepresented communities to develop their craft and share their unique perspectives and to challenge the dominant narratives. As we look towards the future, it's imperative that our budget reflects our commitment to addressing disparities and promoting opportunities for the BIPOC community. We believe that you cannot be what you cannot see. So in this way, everything we do should be intentionally inclusive of the BIPOC community, even reflected in the budget, in the programs of our government institutions. Furthermore, as we develop a deeper, embedded, culturally relevant engagement practice into the fabric of city operations, that means that we'll foster greater dialogue, a greater shared responsibility, and collaboration with our diverse citizenry. So for now, just imagine a new narrative unfolding in the city of Grand Rapids, one that celebrates inclusivity, innovation, and resilience. Grand Rapids should be known not only for its scenic beauty and its economic vitality for those that are at the top of the pay and or institutional scale, but for those that are not there as well. So a new narrative that will inspire collaboration,
Thank you.
foster creativity, and invite everyone, Mayor,
Thank
to play a role in shaping a more inclusive community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rodney. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else who wishes to be heard on this item? All right, I'm going to close that public hearing. That'll take us to our next public hearing. This is a public hearing considering the fiscal year 2025 service provision fees. So again, those were talked about in Ms. Claren's presentation. So if you are here tonight to be heard on any of the proposed city fees, you're welcome to come forward. Again, we ask that you share your name, the city that you live in, and you'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. So is there anyone here that wishes to be heard on the proposed fees? Okay, seeing none, I'll close that public hearing, and that will take us to our last opportunity for public comment. This is public comment on any other item, so if you are here to be heard and want this body to hear any other comments, you are welcome to come forward. Again, we ask that you come up here to the podium, share your name, the city that you live in. You'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. So is there anyone here who wishes to be heard on anything other than the budget? Yep. Yep. If you want to be heard by this body tonight, this is your last opportunity to be heard. So if you want to come on up, Mr. Asante Kane can help you.
Thank you so much. My name's John Williamson. I live on the southeast side. I believe I left a voice message for many of you, some of them angry, some of them, not that angry. I call it Bingoy for seeming two-faced. I called him out because O'Connor was like, hey, I felt you lied to me. And you're like, I care what the people think, not what my... So they said, you're a liar, and I care that you're a liar. So that's all I know about you. You a liar. I don't trust you. I hope you get out that seat. I'm from the 3rd Ward. Hope you get out, give it to a black person. That's what I think. That's what I think, Bingoy. Now, I'm going to read from this children's book. Dr. King was so deeply impressed by Gandhi's nonviolent tactics. He was inspired by Gandhi's belief in love as an instrument of overcoming evil. King called this philosophy the most potent weapon available to oppress people in the struggle for freedom. Now, in 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white person. She was arrested for refusing to give up her seat. That's wrong. It's wrong to be arrested when you ain't done nothing wrong. I just want to put that on the record. She was arrested. Dr. King decided to use this incident as an opportunity to put the philosophy of nonviolence to the test. He gave a speech. We are not here advocating violence. We have overcome that. The only weapon we have in our hands this evening is the weapon of protest. One of the great glories of democracy is the right to protest for right. Now, in Grand Rapids, after Patrick got killed, there were a lot of protests. I went to as many as I could. A lot of protesters got arrested at these protests. As far as I can tell, the only reason they got arrested was being at the protest, saying the name Patrick Lyoya. One of my friends, Erica Cage, Breonna Taylor cousin, Dejan Sterling's aunt, both of them. She used to come and speak here. Then she started getting arrested by your police. And now it's really hard to come and protest here because it's scary to be here because we know we might get arrested here. It's scary for me to be here. I've been arrested by police. Nobody in the world commits violence against me because I'm a big guy. Nobody messes with me. The police on Grand Rapids, they throw me to the ground because they can do it and get away with it. And because I'll let them because I'm a pacifist. Because I think you look bad doing violence against a man who would never commit violence. I'd rather you shoot me. I'd rather you shoot me than kill anybody else in the street. I hope I jump in front of that bullet. Now listen, I had a meeting with the chief of police yesterday. It was very civil. I gave him a book called Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I said, do you know this book? He said no. I said, every police chief in America ought to have this book. It's about police violence. But he said he knew Coates. He said he'd read the book. So I think there's a chance, there's a crack of progress in the city. As I've said, I intend to come back and voice support for protesters who protest police violence, justice for Dejan Sterling, justice for Riley Doggett, justice for Patrick Lyoya. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard? Oh, no clapping.
Microphone's at about right here. There you go, sir.
Oh, that's it.
Yep, right here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Asante.
Yes, my name is Sidney Deans. I lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan for about 77 years. It's a beautiful place, but the thing about it is you know, the people who runs our government is not treating the people right. You're stewards over this people. God made you, God gave you the opportunity to be stewards over Kent County, Grand Rapids City. You're not doing what you should be doing for cleaning that river up out there. That water, you tell me that you're going by government standards, what the federal government has said you do. You don't go by what they say. You do better than what they say if you can do it. One thing you're not doing is excuse me. One thing you're not doing is our wastewater treatment plant is a step away from putting out clean water. All they need is a final filtering system. It's a lot of people in this city eat those fish out that river. I used to eat them. I don't eat them no more. But there's people still eating them. There's people eating fish out of that lake. Will any one of you go out there and just sit down in Grand River? Any one of you up there? You don't even want to put your foot in the water. You know the water's bad. Why you want to let it keep going the way it's going? And you have the ways of stopping it. But yet you rather go out there and dig holes in the street, put new streets in and all that junk. Something that can wait. That water needs to be cleaned out there, so people can possibly go out there and get them some clean fish to put on their tables, to make up for the meals they can't buy. But y'all pay that no attention. You don't eat fish out of Grand River. You don't eat fish out of Lake Michigan. You want something out of Alaska. That's where you want it. You're gonna go order a coho or a lake trout. You want him out of Alaska. But I'm gonna tell you something. These waters go all the way around the world. Sooner or later, it's gonna come right back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Your time's up. Thank you. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Asante. Good evening, Commissioners. It'll probably be short tonight. I'm in a lot of pain, so I'll do the best I can. Robert Metzger. I'm here for 312 Prospect Northeast, and I'm on Kennesaw and East Grand Rapids. I guess I'm following up from what I did a year ago at one of these budget meetings, and I felt I didn't finish it because I just went with what I felt, and I didn't really carry the thought that much further, so I thought I'd do it again tonight. But after multiple frauds, many lies on the part of city staff, city leaders, and the Planning Commission and the Planning Department, I have come to the conclusion that most of the people associated with this city wouldn't know professional ethics if you were sodomized with it. To get their lives back destroyed because of your fecklessness and incompetence. Madam Mayor, your malfeasance and your tyranny.
1 second, please. Sorry, I didn't want to get. Can you put that little? I turned off this time.
Again, I'm not sure that helps. Again, I'm in a lot of pain. It's probably best that I not carry this too far forward, but if you're looking to do something on equity and you want to demonstrate it, I brought Marilyn with me here tonight. I've been communicating with you for the last 3 weeks and been rebuffed. So here's your chance, Madam Mayor, to demonstrate your values. At this point, I'm done with my comments. However, please don't thank me for them, because I'm well past the point of believing anything out of your mouth. And on top of that, I wouldn't pee on you right now if you were on fire.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? Great. My name is Marilyn Alegría. Hola, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Marilyn Alegría, and I'm just very happy as a former coordinator of Spanish language services to see a former coworker of mine, Yolanda, here interpreting. It's very wonderful. Currently, I am residing with Rob, and I have learned a lot about Robert Metzger, and I've learned a lot about the city. However, I think one of the last emails that we received, it was a referral to United Way. And I think it's one of those things where I think working in healthcare I've been working in long care long enough to understand the policies, and I've worked in ER long enough to understand what the homeless policy is and what frequent flyers are and what that looks like from the other side of the fence and currently being on that side of the fence when it comes to being homeless or those that are caring for homeless people. And it has impacted my life on a very personal level from helping homeless family members. So in a way, as silly as it sounds, I'm going to leave that out, sorry. I think moving forward, the last 2 years of my life, a lot of things have changed, and moving forward, I am not seeking a temporary fix for temporary housing. Again, I have seen what it's like to be on that side of it on a very personal level and from a healthcare point of view. I am seeking to build an education. That is where I am right now. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Good evening again. My name is Vanessa Epps, longtime resident of Grand Rapids. is this a good time to ask, or is this the place to ask, what will you guys do, or is anything included in the budget when it comes to the old South High field that's open? And is anything being considered for that development in that area? And if so, I like to, just not by myself, but hopefully we can be informed. Some of us who grew up here that went through the South High diaspora, so to speak, would like to know if there's anything that's left in the community that the African Americans can build on. We'd be more than appreciated if we know if that land could be accessed by us, and then how do we go about accessing it and possibly building it. I know it's contaminated for what it's worth, but can we still build on it? And I'd like to know if we can get that information soon enough before someone else can grab it, because it's not too many things we got a hold of out here. And dang, it was something else I did want to ask you. However, because we've lost so much in this community, unfortunately. But anyway, that's one of the big ones that I really, really would like to stay abreast of and have that opportunity to say. Because I'm in touch with the Mayweather family, and one of our success stories, so to speak, other than other success stories of persons who grew up here. So we can get that support going as soon as possible, but we need to know how can we access that information, and if it's something we can actually work at and build on in the near future. Thanks.
We'll have Mr. Kane get your contact information and provide that with you.
Mr. Kane?
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Still had some time.
No, your time's up. One time. No, your time is up. You get one opportunity to speak, and you already used it. Is there anyone else here who wishes? You are disrupting this meeting. All right, commissioners.
You being a bully.
Mr.
You're a bully. You're a bully. You're a bully. You're a bully. Everybody knows it. You know already.
Hi.
You're a fucking bully, Mayor.
Okay, on
You're
that
a
note.
fucking bully, Mayor. You're a racist, Mayor. You're a racist, Mayor. You're a fucking bully, Mayor. You're gonna be the most famous bully in this country.
Hi, my name is Yolanda. I'm a member of Sisters in Development. Two things. First thing is, I was a business owner on Wealthy Street years ago, and I had an issue with the way I noticed how things happen in the city of Grand Rapids. It's like Siney said, who you know gets things done. At one point in time, Wealthy Street was flooded with black businesses. We couldn't get loans to upgrade our businesses. We were hounded by the city. Oh, your windows broke. Oh, you need to tuck point this. You need to do this. You need to do that. 2 or more black young men couldn't be together on the street, or it was considered loitering. They go to jail for it. Now I go down Wealthy Street and everything's changed. Businesses are flourishing over there, none black. Only one there is James Price, which he ain't going nowhere. But he's the only one still there. And I asked myself, what changed? Where did all this money come from for these businesses to flourish when all our businesses went under, were taken from us, or however? And the only thing that I can come to is the only thing that changed was the color of the people's skin. That's the only thing. Nothing else changed. So I have an issue with that. My next issue with this proposal is that we're spending billions of dollars to upgrade parks when we have homeless people who don't have a place to live. We have police killing our kids. And there's no money in that budget to compensate either of those. We need to take care of our own people before we let outsiders come in, make all this money, build these big businesses, have generational wealth for their kids, and ours out here, we're struggling to just keep our kids out of the county jail and the county morgue. So we need funding put behind us so we can lead our kids so they don't make the mistakes we made. We need generational wealth. I don't want my grandkids to have to work 3 jobs just to make a living. The cost of living is up so high, people can't afford their rent. But you're talking about increasing parking. How does that equate? More money for the city, and so what? The residents ain't got no place to live. So what? You got 1,000 people downtown homeless. So what? These kids getting killed by the police. So what? We're still gonna make money, and we're gonna appropriate the way we want it to make Grand Rapids look good. It don't look good if the people here are miserable, if the people here are struggling to survive. Who wants to come to a city where you can't even afford to pay rent? It's not economical. It's not human. God said to love one another. That's what we're supposed to do. You're supposed to reach out and pull one up, not just we just gonna step over this whole race. So I'm just asking for consideration, once again, for us to get funding to do what we gotta do to help our people. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right, anyone else who wishes to be heard?
Greetings again, Sini Gant Jordan, 3rd generation here in the city of Grand Rapids. As a community member, I serve on the Master Plan Steering Committee as a co-chair. Very grateful for the opportunity. My challenge is how am I able to hold you all accountable for what is going into that master plan? What's being presented? I had to do a voiceover recording today regarding what is in the master plan. I want to make sure that I have a role, our Sisters in Development, our African American Task Force, our Black Voices at the River, have a role in holding you all accountable with dollars behind us as we develop and move forward and make this city greater. Greater looks like us being included. To my sister's point, Yolanda, Black people are not included in that equation. Again, Wealthy Street is a great example, how we are continually displaced. And I will go back to my grandmother on Division, who had to lay down her life to fight to be in this city. She died fighting to keep what should have been our generational wealth. So I don't see a historical marker there for her saying Sini Duke McBride died on this corner of Division and Pleasant, fighting to keep what was rightfully hers, generational wealth to be passed down to generations. You know what we could have done as a generation there? We could have, just as she did, we had 3 businesses, a party store, a sit-down soul food restaurant, we had a party hall, and 5 apartments above it. Job creation, come on. She created many jobs, and we could have done the same thing. But those things are always snuffed away from us. So it is our ask and my intent to be able to hold you all accountable, along with my community collaborators and our groups, hold you all accountable for what's being put in this master plan. I spent my time with no pay fighting back, saying, hey, do this. Hey, we need to have this. We need to have that. Let's put this language in there. How do we measure that? Who's measuring always matters as well, because we know some numbers have been fudged. We know that. But we need to be able to measure this success, and we need to be able to talk about what isn't working well and be able to go back and edit it and do better. So as a community member, as a taxpayer on 5 properties, I want that. I'm here to help with the community master plan. I think we did a great job pulling it together. People came together and lifted their voice, community and others. So please, I'm asking again, include us. Don't demise us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else who wishes to be heard? All right, seeing none, is there anyone else? Rodney, you want to be?
Hi again, I'm Rodney Brown, a passionate lifelong advocate for the city of Grand Rapids, the 3rd Ward, and Southeast Grand Rapids. As I was expressing, we are empowering storytellers to reclaim the narratives, to promote social equity and justice, and to foster positive change within our community and beyond. And we're asking you all to join us in the neighborhoods from a bottoms-up approach, not just your top-down or high-level work that you've been using. So this new narrative will highlight a commitment to sustainable growth, emerging industries, and will preserve a rich and diverse cultural heritage and showcasing a city that will prioritize, again, social justice, affordable housing, and a universal health care. I'm going to ask you all, and you don't have to answer because I know that's not your protocol, but Grand Rapids is a community, a remarkable community of esteemed writers and publishers and storytellers and famed singers and rockers and rappers and dancers. How many of you know that there's a Grand Rapidian that taught Michael Jackson how to moonwalk? Not one of you. Do the research on it. How many of you know that the publisher of Esquire magazine is from Grand Rapids? Not one of you. How many of you know that the founder of the Food Channel is from Grand Rapids? At least one of you know that. To be clear, I'm grateful to the visionary leaders from the business and industry communities that have committed much to the city of Grand Rapids over the years and that have prompted us to be a national model for public-private partnerships. But again, there are so many more people than just our business and industry leaders, Madam Mayor. So many more people that we should lift up in this community. Because there was a statement about wealthy, and I'm going to ask you all to do this when you're driving through the neighborhood, and being indigenous to Grand Rapids, born and raised, except for my time away from Grand Rapids in California in college, I remember Wealthy being majority black. I remember the neighborhoods around Wealthy being majority black. Every time I drive down Wealthy, starting at Wealthy and Fuller, and by the time I get to Wealthy and Madison, I actually count black people. And do you know sometimes I count zero? Zero. I'm going to ask you all to do that. Walking the street, walking with their dogs, zero black people. So within Grand Rapids, what we don't want, and I'll just finish here, Mayor, if you don't mind, we don't want Madison to become gentrified. We don't want Eastern to become gentrified. I have some of this in the proposal that I sent to you all. We don't want gentrification. We're not against development. We're against displacement.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you, Rodney. All right, anyone else wishes to be heard?
How you doing, everybody? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hear me? All right. How you doing, everybody? I'm D. Jones, passionate entrepreneur and visionary. So I want to tell you guys a story. So every time the city does the city planning for the bridges, the future for the next 20 years of the vision of the city, I always ask you guys because I come from poverty. I grew up on Social Security. I know real struggle. I used to, eat the government food in the government boxes, and they used to have those different food items, and they used to come in those plastic bags and stuff like that. So I think about those people under the bridge and displaced. And I always ask you guys, can I have the food so I can bring it to the unhoused people? And so one thing I wish that humanity had globally is humanity, because it's just something that really doesn't exist to me. And so I asked you guys for the pizza. You guys let me get the pizza, the last Bridges to the Future event that I went to. And I brought those 5 boxes of cheese pizza from the city event downtown. And there was a lot of people, and they were running to the pizza boxes and stuff like that, and I was just happy to give it back to the people. And the crazy thing about it is, even though these people don't have a house or no food, they still had hospitality and love for each other. For example, it was these old black men, and I know some people will frown if you see them. They probably look dirty, dusty, and bummy and stuff like that to you, but they human beings. And even though these guys didn't have no food, the first thing that they said is ladies first. And they ain't even got no food. They ain't even got no house, but they said ladies first. So these guys are still willing to starve so ladies can eat. And for some reason, we got billionaires and rich people across this city, across this planet that don't care about other people, but it's people that say lady first that don't even have a place to sleep or don't even know how they're going to eat. So I like to challenge everybody in this room to do better, to be a better human being, to put people first. To not put political parties, to not put political agendas, but to put people first, because I believe everybody ran on this board to serve the people. Even though I don't serve on the board, even though I'm not a politician, even though I'm not politically correct, I always do what's best in my heart and what's best for people. And those lessons that I learned when I go give that food to those people in Hartside Park and people that don't have food, it reminds me that people need humanity. It means that, people, you got to show love and give back. And when I become that rich billionaire one day, I'm going to give back. You guys are going to see me on Forbes and all of those big publications. And I hope I be able to give as much funding as I can give back and still be rich. I believe I can do that. But I just want y'all to don't forget, it's people that's starving, old people, different ethnicities that didn't eat, but they still say ladies first, even though they don't have a house and no food to eat. So don't forget that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right. Oh, yep, we don't allow clamping. No. All right. With that, thank everyone for coming out tonight, and we are adjourned.